Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about why the reveal in the last chapter that Kawaki would be visiting Amado to get his limiters removed is a bigger deal than we might have thought, and not because of the typical response that most fans have zeroed in on, which is, oh my god, Kawaki's about to get his limiters removed and he's gonna power up people. They've already started to say that power levels are BS and that the Boruto scaling is wonky because of this thing happening, which of course means, since everyone else is focusing on that, instead of shedding more light on it, I want to take a closer look in an opposite direction, something that I think is more deserving and better connected to the setup we have with the limiters being removed, which is why I say Ada has a bigger role in what is coming ahead with Kawaki getting his full power back, and why the wild card in all of this, it is Ada, the 19-year-old cyborg who is openly pining away for Kawaki's heart, and why the role that she potentially has to play in all of this is a lot larger than you guys as fans might have considered. So there's a really good chance that you're hearing me say this and you're asking, how in the world does Ada factor into Kawaki getting his limiters removed? She didn't put them on him, and why should the narrative even care for her in this sense? She's just a lovesick teenager going after Kawaki. And I'm here to tell you that you should care a lot about this. And when you look at the narrative of how Kawaki's character has been set up, which is fundamental to understand this point, you'll see exactly why Ada has a role to play either in the short term or the long term when it comes to Kawaki's character after he regains this power that was stolen from him, or rather suppressed inside of him by Amado. Kawaki is someone who for the majority of his life, he's been lied to, he's been used as a tool, he's been kept in the dark regarding things that directly were of major concern to him. To say that Kawaki has trust issues, it is an understatement, and the narrative went out of its way in a very subtle set of writing to begin showing it to us as readers without us ever having to be told directly that Kawaki had trust issues, which is why you hear me say all the time, especially on Twitter, hey, Boruto does not spoon feed you the way that Naruto did. You gotta look at things in a more subtle approach. Why do you think that the story spent so much time focusing on Kawaki rebuilding the broken flower vase and obsessing over rebuilding it? Think about it for a second, because that plays a huge role in this whole video here. So we had a little over an entire manga volume, a little over 4 chapters that were dedicated to the subplot of Kawaki fixing that broken vase, the one that Himawari made for Hinata on her birthday. And we saw Kawaki getting a bit annoyed that the final piece couldn't be found, and even when Himawari said that Kawaki had done enough, we transitioned to him seeing how he and Naruto weren't so different, with Kawaki even shedding a tear upon learning Naruto's backstory. Many of you have probably realized, hey, that vase was a symbolic narrative choice by the story to show us that Kawaki, someone that was broken, being in the process of being rebuilt just like that vase, yet despite everything, he was never truly made whole ever again. Part of the reason why Kawaki can't ever truly be whole is because he is someone who has been faced with dealing with the aforementioned things that led to his trust issues being developed, but also his inability to properly accept love, which is a fundamental part of Ada's character, the whole concept of love, and eventually reciprocate love to someone, which led to his obsession with Naruto developing because he never knew how to accept a father's love without going off the deep end. And understanding that part of loving someone is knowing that they have their own free will, and there are times where you cannot protect them from the greater world out there, the boogeyman that is hiding behind every corner. Yet that inability to accept that led to Kawaki sealing away Naruto, someone who Kawaki loved. When we look at Ada, she has openly been going after Kawaki's heart, even when he's done things that would normally disqualify him from someone like Ada, like physically threatening her to tell everyone that Boruto killed Naruto. Yet even though she said she felt disgusted with Kawaki for what he did, she still stayed at his side the last 3 years. Shortly after this was done, Daemon was shown flying towards them, and he and Kawaki, they got into the fight because Daemon correctly assumed Kawaki was trying to harm his sister. But there's more to it than that, which we'll touch on later. But for now, let's stay focused on Ada and the concept of love so you can tie it into the limiters getting removed. Ada likely knew that Amado limited Kawaki in some way, or at the very least, if she does not know, which is where I'm leaning, she will quickly piece it together. Like we saw when she figured out very quickly that Amado had placed the shutdown code into Kawaki when he gave him the karma seal back again. Even though she didn't know that there was a shutdown code until Amado said it, she quickly pointed out and figured out when it was done. That wasn't done by mistake, and I do believe that we are in a situation where this is not where we in the literature world would call this a false gun, where a seemingly important detail is really just meant to sit there and never develop into a later plot point. Not everything introduced into a story has to be relevant. Some things just don't get explored. That's intentional. That's not bad writing. This, however, is more akin to the word that I oftentimes use, which is Chekhov's gun, where something is introduced and brought up later again in the story. Ada, she might love Kawaki, but she also has not told Kawaki, at least in what we've seen so far in the flow of the story, as it's been presented to us, that he has a shutdown code implanted into him, which will allow Amado to shut down Kawaki, basically giving Amado control over Kawaki. Someone like Kawaki is going to react one of two ways to that information. He's either going to go straight to Amado and demand that his limiters be removed and ask why were they placed on him in the first place, and then if he isn't being a raging, emotional, Naruto-obsessed emo, he's gonna likely ask, was there something else done to his body he needs to be made aware of? He's either going to do that, or he is going to do exactly what Momoshiki told Kawaki back in Boruto Naruto Next Generations, which is he told Kawaki after he reawakened the karma that Amado was using him, and that Kawaki, if he doesn't wisen up, is going to keep allowing himself to be used by others and eventually fed to a Ten Tails, basically a tool, in the same way that the Shinju told Code that he was being a tool being used. Very ironic given that both of Ishiki's karma recipients are the ones that the story have called fools, because they're too prideful, too arrogant, and too stupid to realize that they're being used by others, which that's another video for another day. Now, if the former happens, where Kawaki asks, was there anything more done to him, there stands a chance that Amado tells him about the shutdown code, especially if Kawaki does what Code did and physically threatens and tortures him to get what he wants. Then Amado is very likely to fold within a few seconds of getting tortured. However, if that happens, what's to stop him from bringing up Ada also knew about the shutdown code that was placed into Kawaki? I believe that this is a possibility you have to consider, which would only add further to Kawaki's trust issue. The fact that a girl who swears she's in love with them, who to her credit, to her defense, is very likely someone who does love Kawaki very deeply, and a girl who Ikimoto has confirmed goes out of her way to buy Kawaki nice clothes, even though he does not take care of them. If Kawaki learns that, a newly powered up Kawaki might turn his attention to a 19-year-old Ada, which that brings us to Daemon. Look at how the story has been building up an eventual clash of Daemon versus Kawaki. From as far back as when they first met each other, Daemon went out of his way to assert his dominance over Kawaki, beating him in Boruto to a state of unconsciousness, even flexing on Kawaki by catching his chakra rods with his teeth before knocking him out, and laughing when his reflection jutsu knocked Kawaki over when Amado explained how his powers work. Kawaki and Daemon, they had a heated exchange following Omnipotence, where Kawaki said he would kill Daemon, which back then that was an empty set of words, because we knew Daemon could easily kill Kawaki, and Kawaki knew it too. Daemon arrived seconds after Kawaki had physically stopped threatening his sister, someone who Daemon is fiercely overprotective of, the sister being Daemon's sister Ada. When Kawaki was talking crazy to Ada in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, notice how Delta was the one who was openly talking about punishing Kawaki, killing Kawaki if he kept mistreating Ada. But Daemon behaved exactly like you would expect of someone who is the strongest to behave. He kept his composure, he watched the whole situation quietly, and he kept his eyes on Kawaki, taking notes of how he treated his sister. Whereas Delta, someone weaker than Kawaki, had to do all of that barking. Daemon, someone stronger than Kawaki, he didn't need to do anything. He's that quiet guy who suddenly whoops everyone's ass when they cross a line at the bar, then he sits down to finish his drink before leaving the bar. The tensions between these two, they've gone up even further when you read between the lines in the story, because Daemon has been openly taunting Kawaki in regards to Kawaki's lies, about Naruto being dead, coming back to bite him in the ass in the future, saying that he's looking forward to watching Kawaki's life that he's built on the back of this lie after Omnipotence was casted, burned to the ground, and Kawaki has been openly pissed off, but he can't do anything because he knows Daemon could break him in half the moment Kawaki so much as eats one too many of his animal crackers, accidentally drinks one of Daemon's juice boxes, or he changes the channel off of Elmo to the documentary of the life and times of Naruto Uzumaki. It would parallel narratively to what we saw in Boruto Naruto Next Generations very well. So Code also happened to have his limiters that were on his power, limiters that were only removable by Amado, and the testosterone in that room, it led to Code going Super Simp 9000 to fight Daemon with Ada as the cause of their dispute, and Daemon was used to both confirm Code was stronger than Jigen, but also establish to us as the audience that Daemon was that much stronger than Code, to the point that not even using full power, Daemon almost killed Code with only a few hits. It's not by mistake that Daemon revealed to us that he's never used his full power once in his life, and he wants someone strong enough to bring it out. He openly told Boruto to get strong enough to do so, and he showed interest in Himawari for the same reason, likely because of Kurama's power inside of her. But the prospect that Daemon ends up being forced to use full power against Kawaki under a similar circumstance where Ada is the center of a fight, albeit for different reasons this time, and we use it to show how much stronger Kawaki is now that he's got his limiters removed, potentially with him beating up Daemon but not killing him, is something that narratively has way too much possibility for it to not be considered, especially considering how their first fight went. The only reason you wouldn't see Kawaki outright kill Daemon is Jura is a bigger threat, and they do know they need more bodies, including Daemon, to stick around for that threat, especially since the narrative has already shown us that Mamushi is planning to go full Predator mode to get his hands on Ada, the same way that you can get your hands on the Chapter 15 review here on the left, or you can click here to watch my brand new all Dragon Slayer Magic Explained video on my Anime Explained channel, where I discuss anime that isn't Naruto or Boruto.